My favorite part right here. This is Let the Good Times Roll by the Cars. Playing, of course, obviously, because we are now in a new era, new age, whatever you want to call it right now. We have a real president in the White House by the name of Joe Biden. We have a real vice president by the name of Kamala Harris. We have control of the Democrats, I should say, have control of the House and the Senate and the executive branch. So things are moving at a pace. The inauguration was on January 20th, and from that point on till today, President Biden and staff have been working to undo everything that terrorist who was in the White House had done, and they're undoing that. There's going to be work on getting COVID fixed and the pipeline closed down and environmental issues back on track, and all kinds of good fun stuff. The minimum wage raising to $15 an hour, stuff like that. So good fun little stuff going on here. So this is Dylan Knows, episode 386, Technicolor Squirrel. We'll talk a little bit about the inauguration, not much as I didn't watch about it. I did have, it's not really a rant so much as a discussion point, I guess I want to say, about myself coming up here. We've got some major deaths that happened this week. We have a lot of stories about fossils and dinosaurs. We also have about Mars, a lot of new food here, Dr. Pepper stuff, and actually I don't think I have anything from Starbucks this week. Ghostbusters cereal, Ghostbusters Twinkies. Movies have, speaking of Ghostbusters, movies being changed, their dates being changed again. Liam Neeson to take over possibly a new comedy franchise. Some St. Patrick's Day stuff, some Valentine's Day stuff, some Easter stuff. Bigfoot hunting season, which is what I should have named this episode also. Zombies, flying sharks. Weather, Thor 4 is all over the place. Cheesecake is all over the place. Blankets, planets, Duncan, Cobra Kai, broth bombs, Pepsi Blue, Cocoa Krispy Kremer review, WandaVision review, some new things, some fictional birthdays, birthdays for fictional characters, prequels, Pokemon makes the news twice with how much money they sold for stuff, a possible flying car sighting, possible woolly mammoth sighting, pickle stuff, and a whole lot more. Fortnite has some interesting new pop culture characters, so stay tuned for all that. Right now, I think I'm going to start today's episode off with something that has been gnawing at me for a while. January 20th was the day of the inauguration, and it was a beautiful day, a beautiful ceremony. Nothing happened, no insurgency, no attempts at assassinations, just President Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, parades, music, dancing, fun. Laws got enacted on that same day. After they did their swearing in, they went right to the White House and executive orders, changed up some stuff. And everybody's sighing in relief, as they should. The last 4 years have been an utter nightmare, and that includes for me as well. And now with the grown-ups, the professionals, the better people in office right now, hope and happiness and stuff like that is starting to show up. But it's also releasing certain things, particularly in me. This has been a little rough emotionally for me. These last 4 years have been utter trash, and not just because of the terrorists in the White House, but for me personally, I've had numerous awful things happen to me and my family during this 4 years. Now, you might think, okay, it's not such terrible because it's not, it's not as bad as what's happening to some people, obviously, but this is something that has personally been affecting me in some ways. Yes, I know there are people who are poor and don't have houses and are getting sexually abused and beaten and killed. And so I get all that. And I don't want to make light of all that, but I want to tell you out there how these last 4 years have been for me, because they've been some of the worst years I've ever had in my life, mostly due to work situations where I was demoted 3 times in the last 4 years. I was furloughed and am also now no longer a manager, so I don't make salary. I am an hourly employee now. I had numerous vehicle issues over the last 4 years with my van, many of whom you've heard about on this show. My wife was hit by a car a couple years ago. She's fine. Obviously, nothing happened to her, but something could have happened to her. It could have been a whole lot worse than it was. And still, for my wife, it was a bad situation. I lost my cousin to COVID. My nephew got it also, but it was not a bad case of it. My kids are being deprived of things. I'm glad that they're home doing schooling because I don't want them to possibly contract COVID at the schools, which I'll get to about in a second. But at the same time, this all started last March 13th to be exact, was when my kids' last day that they were in a classroom. And I was furloughed on March 23rd, 10 days later. But on March 16th, it was the beginning of their online learning. That lasted all the way till it's still going on now. My son was in his last year of elementary school. Your last year of elementary school is supposed to be one of excitement and joy and trips and thinking about your successes, being the big dogs in the school, the oldest kids in the school, the ones who've been there the longest. They had all kinds of events and special things. You should have had a graduation for them, a final spring concert, trips, as I said, play days. They should have had all of that. They didn't. My daughter was in the middle of her 7th grade year in her middle school. She had spent all of 6th grade last year in 2019 in the school, and 2018, 2019, and 2019 into March of 2020. And then she left. She's now in 8th grade. She just registered for high school classes this week. It very well could appear that she may never, ever set foot in her middle school again because she's in 8th grade. And 8th grade, again, is the same thing as 5th grade. You're the top of the heap there. You're the oldest kids. You should have, they have the big events. You have the graduations. You have the parties. You have the trips, stuff like that. My daughter's going to miss all of that as well, as the kids who graduated last year did as well. I've been depressed, not only due to my work situation and things happening to my kids and my wife, but just in my life in general. I've been irritated. I've been angry. I've been upset. I've been on the verge of tears numerous times. I've actually cried a few times. I'm not too ashamed to admit that during my furloughing time that I was very unhappy, wondering why I was singled out, along with, obviously there were about 18 or 20 of us, but I had my theories about what that's about. I'm not going to share them here right now because I am back at my job right now, though as a hourly employee and not doing exactly what I wanted to do, but I'm doing my job because I need to do my job. I'm irritated about other things in my life right now, which I really don't want to get into, a little bit more personal. I've been feeling sick for the last 4 years. I think I have some major issues in my stomach slash kidney slash um, intestines or whole area. I think it might be a little lactose. I think I might have uh, pancreatic insufficiency. I think I might have possibly could have some sort of cancer because I am in constant pain down below. My stomach always seems to be hurting. Granted, my diet's probably not the best in the world, but there's that. I have constant headaches. I've had headaches my whole life, it seems like. I'm wearing glasses now. These are just reading glasses, obviously, but still, that's just getting older. And I'm not entirely blaming all of this on the American people during all this. Messing up everything and white supremacist tendencies and lying incessantly and having these psychotic, moronic, stupid, dumb fucks who believe every goddamn thing. He's uneducated, don't know anything about this country, and are horrified by certain things, know anything about this country, and are horrified by certain things. And they just throw out little bon mots like, is a fraud, is Lord, stuff like that. And while that has not affected me personally, it has affected me mentally. And my aspect has always been to take all that stuff and push it down. All the stress I went through with my job stuff, my wife getting hit by a car, my kids in general, my car issues, my stomach issues, all this is being well. Yes, I should go see a doctor. I'm scared to death about going to a doctor because of COVID, and that's something else. Fears of COVID stuff is pushing down on me as well. For my family members, I lost a family member to COVID. I almost, I could have lost another one, and it's still going on. And again, the terrorists in the White House could have done something, could have made it manageable. But he's a fucking moron, as are the fucking sycophants who followed him and praised him as Lord God above. Lose my cool, because I think that also contributed to my stomach problems as well. But speaking of COVID, I was sort of, knowing I was going to discuss this on my show today, I was sort of hyper aware of things today when I went out for a trip. Now, I'm not a hypocrite. I believe in wearing masks. I believe in keeping distance. I believe that at my job I don't wear a mask because I am well distanced enough from everybody, and I'm basically in my own world, my distance around there. No one at my work has seemed to have gotten sick. Not that that is a sign of anything. They stayed open during COVID and nobody got sick during that period. So I don't know, but I know it's not fake. I know it's not fraud because I did lose somebody. But I've been hyper aware of my surroundings. And I took my son to a friend's house to spend the night. My daughter was at a friend's house last night to spend the night. But there are friends that they've been to their houses before multiple times over the last year, and nothing has happened. Their stuff. I trust them and their families to do the right things. We've had people over our house. Again, I trusted that when I didn't see my son and their friends, they kept their distance and did their stuff. So after I took my son over to his friend's house for his sleepover, I drove up to the town mall up in Westminster, which is about a 20-minute drive from here. The town mall it's not a big mall. It's not like Towson Town Center, but it's a nice sized one-level mall. A bunch of department stores. There's a Belk there, and I think I don't know what else. There's a couple other big shops there, and it has a GameStop and a Yankee Candle and an FYE, and it had a movie theater, a food court. Um, has a Bed Bath and Beyond, or Bed and Bath. No, no, I'm sorry, Bath and Body Works. Excuse me, in there as well. It's got a Claire's. It's got other stuff as well, and it had a Books A Million in there too. So I've been to the mall a couple times during Halloween and Christmas to get stuff, particularly because it's the closest Yankee Candle now that my Yankee Candle in Hunt Valley closed down. Columbia also, it's about the same distance, but I prefer to do the straight shot to Westminster, whereas Columbia Mall is a bit of a, not really a hike, but it's a highway. And then there's more people there because it is a multiple floor mall, and it's huge, and it's got a whole lot more things going on there than the town mall is. So there's less people at the town mall than at Columbia Mall. But I went in there and was overwhelmed because, as I said, I was super alert about everything. Of all the shops that have closed, the Books A Million has closed. That was there. When I went to Yankee Candle, because I had to pick up some stuff, it looked like its shelves were getting bare. I was getting afraid they were going to be shutting down. But they did not seem to be under the assumption it looked like they were training a new person. So I think it's still going to be around for a while. It's just, I think what they is every month they get a new shipment of stuff in. And so they don't really replenish what is sold until the new shipment comes in once a month. I'm not sure if that's what it is, but that was my belief because, as I said, it looked like they were training a new person. They had 3 people working there. And, it wasn't crowded, but there were people there, and I bought some stuff. But just amazed about all the shops that are closed and how the people who own those shops and who worked in those shops are now out of jobs and out of money. And it got me thinking about the movie theaters, COVID, and how they're suffering right now. The restaurants, how they're suffering right now. Sports teams, how they're suffering right now. Colleges, high school, middle schools, elementary schools, how they're all suffering. Libraries. And it got me thinking is that I miss taking a vacation day from work, and I miss going to Chick-fil-A in the morning and going into the shop, getting 2 chicken, egg, and cheese biscuits and a medium Dr. Pepper, and sitting at one of the booths and having my breakfast. And then after that, going out and doing some Pokemon going, and then going back to the house, having the house to myself as the kids are in their school learning, and my wife is at work. I can do whatever I want, watch movies, read comics, sleep, whatever. And then, go to the mall and maybe do a little window shopping, get some stuff as well. Take a look through a Yankee Candle or GameStop or Books A Million and just look for stuff there. And miss going out to dinner sometimes, because sometimes it's just nice to just say, let's go out to dinner, all 4 of us, and go someplace and just hang out. I miss going to the concerts that we used to have during the summer. I miss not having to wear masks and keeping distance and not being afraid of the person next to you possibly having COVID and having to wipe my hands every time with hand sanitizer, washing my hands all the time so that my hands are dry and red and achy. I've got lots of cuts and bruises over it because of that. I miss my kids having a chance to socialize with their friends without any fear of the sickness attacking them. I miss not feeling good. I miss other stuff, which I'm not going to talk about because it's too personal and it's part of my education. I miss not being able to see my family or my wife's family, and hanging out at their house without fear of disease. Or my mom, who is absolutely petrified of the disease, is refusing to leave her house. She goes reluctantly to the grocery store when she needs to. Or she goes to her next door neighbor's house and visits her, social distancing, blah, 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 masks, so on and so forth. But I miss her coming up to see the kids or taking her to someplace. I miss seeing my dad and stepmom. I miss them being able to spend some time with their grandchildren, taking them to the movies or the swimming pool or get a snowball. I miss my mother, my kid's grandmother, taking my kids up to the bowling alley and going bowling. I miss, even though I admitted that I have, cried a little bit, it hasn't been a lot. And I feel it all the time that I need to do it and I cannot do it sometimes. Yesterday, because I was feeling really overwhelmed for reasons and I couldn't do it. I'm upset now that my damn computer appears to be 10 o'clock on Saturday. Seems to be the rough time where we start having issues with the computer. And now I might have to do multiple episodes of my show, which I hate. I didn't have to do that last week. I had a show on Sunday afternoon and one on Friday evening. I didn't have the issues maybe once or twice, and that's it. Could I move them to that date? Sure, but I like doing Saturday nights. I miss freedom. But this all needs to be taken care of so that we do survive. It is always darkest before the dawn. I did that. It was the name of my episode last week. It was Darkest Before the Dawn was the episode. It is truly darkest before the dawn. And the dawn is starting to come now. President Biden has put in a bunch of orders about COVID, has put in orders to get the vaccine spread out, has put in an emergency order for Johnson & Johnson's vaccine, which makes it the fourth vaccine out there. The difference is the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is just a one shot. So they're hightailing that to see if they get that done out there quicker. I miss going to movie theaters, watching movies in the movie theater. Yes, it's expensive as hell, but you know what? It's fun out of the house and see something on the big screen and lean back on the fancy chairs that my movie theater just spent thousands of dollars to refurbish all their movie theaters with these awesome chairs. Letting this happen. This could have been easily taken care of months ago. And then we have these morons who have been now so indoctrinated in their goddamn terrorist belief system that there's uneducated dumbasses truly believe that it's evil to wear masks and to get vaccines and to social distance. That's why this fucking disease is still lingering around the goddamn country. Because these idiots. And President Biden cannot go out onto the air and say, I need every single American to stay at home, to wear a mask for 2 months. We will pay. We will have. You will get a monthly stipend of $2,000 a month if you want. If we make the nice round number. We can keep, I guess, maybe grocery stores and hospitals and police and fire, and that's it. Those are the only really frontline things. I guess maybe you can make a case for some other stuff. So maybe McCormick, because they're a food company, to keep farmers need to be able to keep moving out there. But retail shops, places like my uniform company, yes, people need their uniforms. Yes, we do uniforms for hospitals, stuff like that. But there is no real reason that they need to stay open. Shut everything down for 2 months. Stay at home. It's really not that bad. Those people who are complaining about how bad it is just don't quite understand or not, or I should say, are unhappy in their homes. I was furloughed from March 23rd to about September 15th, 16th, somewhere around there. During that time, while yes, I wish I would have gone back to work, I was getting unemployment, and that did help a lot. My wife was still working, and I was worried about her, but that helped as well because we had the constant money coming. My kids were doing their online training and stuff like that. That was good. I read lots of books. I played video games. I watched movies. I took walks. I got my exercise. Did some cleaning around the house. You can do this. You just don't want to for whatever reason. You don't like your family. Your life is just miserable. You are uneducated, so you don't know fucking read. I don't know. I don't see why people are like, oh, I don't know, I could stay home for 2 months and not do anything. Those people need to start learning, or this is never going to end. But here's the thing, it's never going to end because President Biden cannot go in there and say, we need to shut down the country for 2 months. Everybody go home, stay home, do not leave your house. If you do, wear a mask, but only on a certain amount of times. They do not have the people to patrol every aspect of this country to make sure these idiots are doing what they're told. We don't have the facilities to, if they break curfew or whatever, we do not have the facilities to shut them down, arrest them, do whatever. We don't do it. And they're not going to do it anyway because they're a bunch of stupid, inbred, dumb fucks who are uneducated buffoons whose entire life is a disaster, that they have to cling to some goddamn thing that they believe is an ideal from a 2-bit, shit-faced con man. Yes, vaccines are going to help. Yes. In Maryland, a bit more to phase 3 because it looks like things are going better. And then sure enough, tick, 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 it goes back up. We went all the way up as high as 9 or 10% positivity rate, which for Maryland is insane because we had been so low for so long. We're back down to 7 now, which is a sign that things are possibly getting better. But that's something else I wanted to bring up also. The guy in Maryland, I've had my issues with him. Had my issues with him when he made an executive order that forced start after Labor Day, which was bullshit. The school districts and the counties had their own rights to determine when school was supposed to start. Governor Hogan did this because the Ocean City mayor who helped him get elected said, oh, I don't have anybody to work because they're going back to school and my town is losing money and blah, blah, blah. And because he helped elect Hogan, Hogan was like, okay, buddy, I got your back. And he did that and forced that to happen. And then a few years ago, about a year or so ago, he backed off and said, okay, the counties, you have the right to do it again. You have control of it again. And now the county decided to go step for step, have it happen after Labor Day. But now this upcoming school year is going to happen before Labor Day, which I'm glad is going to happen. Then COVID hits, and I begin to start seeing a different side of governor. I'm thinking maybe he's not so bad. He's standing up for Maryland. He's, doing his job. He got the PPEs when the fucking terrorists in the White House refused to help him. He got it of his own accord and kept it from the president so he wouldn't know where they were and couldn't steal it, which he was stealing from other people, other cities as well. And he helped, force the mask issue, helped get the unemployment the way it is, and told the schools to shut down and did all that stuff. And then had a plan about how to reopen and gradually would keep us abreast of what's going on. Say, okay, this is what's going on. Every week he would have a press conference and he would say, this is what's happening. This is what's going to open up. This is what's going to close. And then he would be out there and everything was good. And he was facing off against the terrorists in the White House and all that stuff was going on. And then when Black Lives Matter stuff happens, and the terrorist in the White House is saying that he will bring in the military to take out these protests that are peaceful, the governor's like, yeah, all right, that sounds good. Yeah, I'll allow that to do that. It made me hate him again. But then again, COVID started going back up again, and he showed his valor again, spitting in the face of the president, not voting for him, calling him a complete and utter waste of space, blah, 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 and doing his own thing to help get him not reelected. And what does he do? He votes for President Reagan, who is dead. Writes his name in because he said, this is the type of leader I want. Well, Governor, you just wasted your goddamn vote, you dumb fuck. And this week, on Thursday, actually, the day after Joe Biden's inauguration, Governor Hogan's like, we need schools to open by March 31st, end of story, in a hybrid format. No. Again, you gave the rights to the counties to make their determination. It doesn't matter a goddamn thing what you think and what you want to say. If my school district decides they're going to do a hybrid thing starting March 31st and our positivity rate is still high, I'm going to say, fuck you. Because I don't want my kids to be exposed to other kids, to teachers, to workers, who all may have COVID or may have and got it from their family members who got it from other family members. See, it's a big wide web thing until every single person in that school and every single family of every student who goes to those schools is vaccinated. Only then will I do it. Guess what, Dylan? That's not going to fucking happen. You have to get over it. But March, to me, is too goddamn early. I am hoping that Baltimore County does the right thing and decides we're not going to open school for the rest of the year. While, yes, I just admitted how much it's going to suck for my daughter being her last year in middle school and my son for his first year in middle school, I would prefer to have my kids alive and not in pain than have them possibly get infected with a disease that could kill them. And oh yeah, Governor Hogan, guess what? If you decide to force your hand to the school and kids start getting sick and kids start dying, guess what? I'm going to sue your fucking ass. You're doing it only because you want a presidential run in 2024. Your time is up as governor of Maryland in the next year or so. You are a moderate Republican, which means you are not as bad as a terrorist in the White House. You're not as bad as the other conservatives like McConnell and all that stuff. You're a bit more on par with an Arnold Schwarzenegger and stuff like that. You're more moderate, which is great, which is fine. But to use the state of Maryland, knowing full well that there are people out there who have been screaming for schools to get back into session, not only in Maryland, but all across the country, or that kids should be in school. You're doing this to say, hey, when I'm running for president, and I want you all to remember that during this time, I was trying to get your kids back to school. They're going to go, that's right, yeah, we're with you. And they're going to vote for your ass. That's the only reason why you're doing this. I know it. Now, yes, I do believe that there are some students and children who need to have the face-to-face time, particularly the ones that have learning disabilities, stuff like that. I understand that. But getting kids back to school when it's still unsafe makes you a bad parent. Do you not give a fuck if your kids get sick, get COVID, and possibly die, particularly with this mutation COVID that is appearing now that is giving, makes your mortality rate be a lot less than it is? Are you even concerned about that? Are you concerned that, your kids may get it from somebody else and you spread it to your family? You don't give a fuck about anything except your goddamn selves. All right, I think my rant is over. I've already gone on for about half an hour and I got a lot to cover. And my damn computer is doing the whole jiggly thing. And I don't want to get too worked up about stuff. But I just want to know where my headspace is right now. I'm trying to be happy. I'm trying to look ahead and stuff like that. But the fact is, all that stuff I've pressed down here, all the shit that's happened over the last 4 years is starting to come out of me. And it's really making me not feel well. So that's why I may appear the way I am for those who see me in real life out there. That's why I'm acting the way I am. I'm trying to cover it so that no one is concerned or whatever, but I am struggling, people. You have no idea. And honestly, I think most of you out there would say, who gives a fuck what's going on with you, Dylan? That's just what it seems like to me. It seems like I'm a nobody. I'm an invisible man in a lot of places. Rant's over. Let's move on. The other thing that came out of the inauguration this year is a bit of a fun stuff. Is there was a picture of Bernie Sanders, who was at the inauguration, sitting in a chair in this big winter coat with these really nice looking hand-woven gloves, mittens. And he has become the king of memes right now. People took that picture and have posted that into everything you can imagine: Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones and Back to the Future, and also into ads for their hospitals or doctors' offices or coffee places, like the coffee place up in Reisterstown put him outside of their place. Sarah Michelle Gellar has added him to a bunch of stills from her various movies and TV shows, stuff like that. So Jamie Lee Curtis added him to her striptease scene of during True Lies. Then they're the people who can really manipulate the picture. They've added him to the Wayne's World Bohemian Rhapsody scene with him moving his head, or the from Saturday Night Live, their movie. He put them in there doing that same thing. Someone actually made a black and white picture, put Bernie in a black and white picture on some old porch, framed it, and hung it up in a Cracker Barrel restaurant. Women love to crochet has created a Bernie crocheted thing. So you can make your own little Bernie crocheted figure as the meme. Looks like Funko is going to be doing a Funko Pop of him that's going to be only available, it looked like, at certain stores. Unless it was just, hey, we should do this. And Bernie, being Bernie, took it all to heart and laughed about it, thought it was really, really funny. And then he did something really, really smart. And I'll give Bernie credit for this. I don't really hate Bernie as much as I hate the Bernie bros, who are just as bad as that terrorist, psychophantic fans. Bernie saw how it's blown up all over social media. So he pasted the picture on a sweatshirt. Put it up in his store for $45 a pop. Sold out of every size like that for $45 a pop, and gave all that money to the Meals on Wheels of Rhode Island or wherever he's from, Maine or wherever he's from. So he did 100% charitable stuff. That was an outstanding thing. You're going to keep seeing the memes. The memes have been going strong now for about 2 or 3 days, and they're going to keep going because people are getting more and more creative. Rocky Horror Picture Show is another one that they put him in. He's been added to other GIFs to do things. Added to stripper clubs. Added to just everything you can imagine under the sun. So fun times. I might have said this before, but I'm going to keep mentioning it now. Right now, there is massive protests going over in Russia. Russia, with Putin, is one of the worst places right now. And the guy who was going up against Putin in their last election, Verlani, was the one that got poisoned with radioactivity. Gee, I wonder how that happened. But he went to Germany, got himself fixed, and then decided to come back and fight in Russia, knowing full what was going to happen. As soon as he landed, he got arrested, as did his wife. So your immediate thought is he's going to get tortured and then killed. But his arrival and his arrest has struck a chord with the Russians, and they have built up protests all across the country. So now Putin's in a tough spot. If he kills him, he has a martyr on their hands, and it's going to make things really, really bad for him. If he keeps him alive, it's an option for them to keep them going. It's like, if we can get him free and stuff like that, he's still alive. He can still run the country. Now, I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. When the Russians have fed up and have had enough, and it takes years sometimes, don't ever underestimate their protests. Because when they've had enough and they're going to start fighting back against the oppressors, guess what? The oppressors usually lose. Some good examples: 1917, 1912, 1917, whenever the Communist Rebellion was, it was it was Lenin and Stalin, a bunch of guys, and the country wanted to get out from under the Archduke and the bishops and the stuff like that. So they created a coup, and they massed the protests, and they got rid of the king, queen, whoever, I forget whoever the ruling class was at Russia at the time, and installed Lenin as the premier, and the country turned communist. So they rose up against that. At first, things seemed to be okay with them. Lenin seemed to be a good guy, but then when he passed away, you had a psychopath in Stalin take over, who made things even worse for the people, and gradually it came worse and worse. World War II, Cold War, things started happening. So about 70 years passed, and around the late 80s, or like 88, 89, President Reagan has been meeting with Premier Gorbachev, who seems to be open to ideas of changing Russia, because he's been hearing a lot of stuff lately. Uprisings have started, not as big as you expect, but they're starting to get out there, and Reagan is really pushing the break down this wall sort of thing, and Gorbachev was the type of guy that was very open to suggestions and other stuff as well. Very genial, very good look, very happy-go-lucky sort of guy that you want to be leading a country like Russia, and not the evil incarnate that was Stalin. And he was open to new ideas. But it wasn't moving fast enough, so Boris Yeltsin and a few other people as well decided, hey, we're going to take this into our own hands, and they rose up. And in the early 90s, 91, 92, that was when they took over the headquarters of the premier, held him hostage for a little while, I believe. There was skirmishes, stuff like that. I remember watching that in college. We were glued to our TV sets. It must have been 93 then, because I think it was my junior year when all that happened. And after the dust had settled, Russia was no longer communist. Boris Yeltsin, I believe, was the new president of Russia. And they started this march into the presidency. So it's about 70 years after communism hit. And as it was building and building, as things were getting worse and worse for them, they built their armies and built their protests. And eventually they had enough, and they overturned it. So let's just say it was 93, 94. So fast forward now to 2021, 94, 2004, 2014, 27 years later, somewhat like that, after all this happened. There's another huge uprising because of Putin's stuff like that. And I got to tell you, it might take a little while. As I said, 1989, Gorbachev started hearing rumblings. He tore down the wall, stuff like that. But the actual changeover in government did not happen for about 3 or 4 more years later like that. It needed a spark. That was a spark. In this case, I believe these uprisings in Russia right now against Putin is going to be the spark. And it could move quicker now. It could take a couple of years or so to get done. But I guarantee you, within the next couple of years, Russia is going to look a little bit different than it does now. Because when they set their mind to something, when they want to raise up against the oppressors, when they finally had enough and they get themselves mobilized, you better watch the fuck out, because they will knock you out, because they've done it twice already. Actually 3 times if you count them taking out the king and queen. So that's a good sign. The major deaths we had this week, Hank Aaron, the African-American player who beat Babe Ruth's home run record and actually expanded on it until he retired. He had 755 home runs. That was eventually broken by Barry Bonds in the 90s, but there is some asterisk next to that, because Barry Bonds was caught using PEDs. So it's possible that if he didn't have those PEDs and wasn't taking PEDs, he would have never broken Hank Aaron's record. So as of now, people still look at Hank Aaron as being the home run hitting leader, because he did it of his own, and he did it under a huge amount of racial injustice and racism, because it was a black man in the 70s who was trying to take down a beloved white man's record, and the redneck inbred, uneducated, dumb fucks that we have in this country were all screaming for his blood and lynchings, and had the Ku Klux Klan threaten his family. And every time he went on the road, he was, you know, threatened and stuff thrown at him and beers thrown on him. And he was forced to have to be separate from his team because of all that, and do different stuff. But he persevered and very successful. So he passed away at the age of 86 this week. Larry King, one of the best talk show hosts of all time, also a 9-time married guy, I believe. Famous, popped up in a lot of pop culture stuff, was in Dave and Ghostbusters and a whole bunch of different things, and has played himself and has done a lot of stuff as well. He passed away this week at the age of 87. Mira Furlan, actress who was on Babylon 5 and Russo on the TV show Lost, died at the age of 65 this week as well. Not only did Hank Aaron die this week, but Hall of Fame All-Star pitcher Don Sutton died at the age of 75. He was a great pitcher for the Dodgers. I have no deaths on the page. Interesting. Gregory Sierrans, Barney Miller and Sanford and Son actor, died at the age of 83 this week. Tony Jones, Pro Bowl offensive lineman, 2-time Super Bowl champion, including Super Bowl champion with the Baltimore Ravens in 2012, died at the age of 54. David Richardson, Simpsons, 2.5 Men, F is for Family, writer-producer, died at the age of 65 this week. I thought I had more deaths than that. I might not have marked them, so I might come across a few more during the show. So those are the ones that I had marked, and I don't remember if I have any other ones that I might have missed. I don't think I have any other ones right now, but if we run into them, we run into them. So we will cover that in time. So what's going on with that? This week, both the record-breaking Mega Millions and Powerball, high lottery things, both were won this week. The Powerball was won first in, of all places, Maryland. One person claimed the $730 million prize, and a $2 million ticket was also sold in Maryland as well. And then yesterday, the $1 billion Mega Millions jackpot was won by one person in Michigan. So it was sad going past the lottery sign today and seeing both down to 20 million instead of 730 million and 1 billion. So if no one wins in about 3 months, we'll be back up there again. But we still have 3 months if that's what indeed happens. So, oh well. The Bill and Ted co-creator, Ed Solomon, who also co-wrote Men in Black as well, was at one time suspected of being the serial killer, the Night Stalker. Night Stalker has a new Netflix documentary that's out there now. He has been captured, obviously was captured back in the 80s or 90s. Was a scary story, was an awful thing that happened in the 80s and 90s. Serial killer is terrible. But at one time, Bill and Ted creator and Men in Black writer Ed Solomon was suspected of being the Night Stalker, in so much that he was detained by police officers and questioned numerous times, but again was released and obviously is not the Night Stalker. Excuse me. Okay, that's all part of the dinosaur stuff. I better move that to the I got a lot of dinosaur stuff coming up. A lot of cheesecake stuff as well. It's crazy. Lucky Charms Magic Clover cereal will be coming out for your St. Patrick's Day. We haven't had a lot of talk about St. Patrick's Day, but that's coming up soon. Excuse me, March 17th. What's different about this Lucky Charms is that it will turn your milk green. So if you want to drink green milk on St. Patrick's Day, get yourself some Lucky Charms Magic Clover cereal coming very soon. German city builds solar-powered sleeping pods to keep the homeless warm. That's a nice thing you can do if you can't get them to go to homeless shelters or help them in any other way. That is one way to try to help them, make sure you don't have as many people dead as well. Heated vest is a new thing now, where if it's a built-in heated vest that you can wear that'll keep you warm when you go outside. It's a new thing now, so it's got a built-in heater to help you stay warm. It's kind of a neat idea. Blankets are a big thing, and body pillows. We got a couple of interesting ones. Here's the first one. The other one we'll talk about in a little bit. A plush taco sleeping bag blanket is now available. If you like to feel like you are wrapped in a taco, you can get yourself a taco blanket that makes it look like you're in a big giant taco. Now, the name of this episode was Technicolor Squirrel. This week was also Squirrel Appreciation Day. I posted my squirrel movie I made with Patrick Gibbs and Eric Magnuson and a bunch of our friends back in college in '93 for that day. And I have some other squirrel stories to come up this week, but this one was interesting. There are giant Technicolor squirrels that actively roam forests of southern India. So that's there, and they look like they were squirrels thrown into different paint buckets, and they have blues and pinks and reds and greens and yellows and oranges and blacks all over them, and it's just a mix of colors. Not one color, it's got multiple colors, but it's multiple colors. It's pretty cool to see that. I did not know they existed, but now I do. Maybe there's a sequel right there. Philadelphia's new cheesecake crumble cups. For those who like Philadelphia cream cheese, you can now get a cheesecake crumble cup dessert. Cheesecake, graham cracker crust, crumble, stuff like that mixed together. It's like eating straight cheesecake with stuff like that. A 13-foot-long Book of the Dead scroll was found in a buried tomb in Egypt. 13-foot-long Book of the Dead scroll. Don't be reading from that shit. If you saw the mummy, you know what happens when you do that. Tiny kitten that was found in the snow is actually a rare Scottish wildcat. So that's something that is surprising. It's sad that the animal was left in the snow, but the fact is they found a rare type of animal, and now they can take care of it and watch it. Starting Wednesday and going through the 29th of January, we will have 10 straight days of palindrome days. Meaning when you write out the date in numbers, it's the same backwards and forwards. Good example is, let's start with 1/20/21. So you have 1/2/0/2/1. So that's how it looks when you do it. But if you do it backwards, it's 1/2/0/2/1. So it's a palindrome thing. So you're going to have that. This occurs, every 10 years or something like that. It pops up. So this is, what you're going to have. So this is palindrome week. So, hooray. Palindrome 10 days, I should say. Also, we had the whole on the 21st at 9:21, which is in military time is 21:21 at, no. Yeah, 21:21 at, it's like on the 21st day of like the 21st century, stuff like that. You had one of those things as well. That was kind of interesting as well. Marshawn Lynch, former running back for the Seattle Seahawks and other teams as well, has now decided to become a hockey player, and he's called himself Sean Gretzky. So, okay, then. Thank you very much, Marshawn. You're a crazy dude. Good on you. Rats were taught to play hide and seek, and they actively giggled and jumped for joy because they were excited. So it's fun to see them happy about stuff like that. Dr. Pepper has released a cotton candy flavor. So if you like the flavor of Dr. Pepper, you can now get a cotton candy that is in that flavor. Real quick, WandaVision episode 3 came out on Friday. Watched it today before I did this show. It continues the outstanding series that we've got. It's increased the intensity of it as we enter the 1970s version of the show. Some spoilers. I do a quick review. it focuses mostly on Wanda's pregnancy, which seems to be accelerating at an amazing pace. She's actually got pregnant and had the baby within about a 2 to 3 day period, and had the babies, I should say, in a 2 to 3 day period. But the whole episode was Vision and her arguing over the names for the child. And every time she had a contraction, something would happen. Electricity would go out in the whole neighborhood, and water pipes would explode when her water broke. And all kinds of weird stuff was going on. So when Wanda got ready to deliver the babies, Vision had to go find a doctor who was going ready to go on a trip to Bermuda. So he had to go run and find him. And while that happened, Geraldine popped in, who is, as we know, is Monica Rambeau from the Captain Marvel movies, came in there and believed to be a sword infiltrator. But she was coming in and just telling a story about her new job and stuff like that when she helped Wanda give birth to not just one baby, but two, Tommy and Billy, who comic book fans know will grow up to be superheroes of their own right as members of the Young Avengers. So we'll get into a little bit more of that probably a little bit. But things started to get a little bit more crazy because there was a period of time during the episode where Vision was starting to connect some stuff and thinking that there's something going wrong. And then all of a sudden it seemed like the show paused for a second and then sort of just skipped back to a spot where it was rewound, but not you see. It was just sort of like a whoop, and then Vision was back and he did the same line again because Wanda obviously changed stuff like that. But then when Vision went out to see the doctor out, he saw his neighbors chatting about Wanda and Geraldine and was wondering what was going on. They were being very aloof about stuff and causing him to get more worried about stuff. Meanwhile, Geraldine revealed a necklace that had the sword thing on it after Wanda started talking about her brother Pietro, who we know was killed in Age of Ultron, and she started singing a lullaby to her twin boys that was in Sokovian. When Geraldine blurts out he was killed by Ultron, wasn't he? And Wanda paused and said, "What did you say?" And I think Geraldine, knowing she screwed up, was trying to backpedal, but Wanda was not having anything to do with it, and Wanda expelled her forcibly from this dimension or wherever they are, because the episode ends with Monica getting spit out of the town of Westview at night and being surrounded by members of SWORD as Daydream Believer by the Monkees played by the closing credits. So another slow burn episode, but things are starting to pick up a little bit more. And you're starting to get a little bit more veil into stuff. And it was a quirky, fun episode, but not quite as sitcom-y as the first two. We get a little bit more danger in this one with the whole Monica and Geraldine, the whole Geraldine and Wanda sequence was a little unnerving, as was Vision overhearing his neighbors discussing his wife and Geraldine also in a not so nice terms. So it was kind of, and then his neighbor trying to explain something, but then the other neighbor was like, no, don't say anything, that sort of thing. So Vision's starting to get a little suspicious about stuff. Next episode, we jump to the 1980s. We'll see some family ties stuff as the babies are growing more and more. However, we also learn from Paul Bettany, who went on to Twitter and said, dude, episode 4 of WandaVision is one of the most insane ones you're ever going to see. So looking forward to that on next Friday. So another hit, another good episode like that. I'm still in awe that there are people out there who absolutely despise the show. They can go fuck themselves. Anyway, so now we're going to do a list of a whole bunch of prehistoric stuff. How about this stuff? First up, a 6-foot prehistoric worm that snapped a fish in half 20 million years ago was found in Taiwan. The remnants of it, not the actual real worm. The remnants of it was found in Taiwan. Paleontologists have reconstructed dinosaurs' buttholes. That's right, dinosaur buttholes. To learn more about the sexual habits of dinosaurs. I guess they liked anal. Next up was a real-life woolly mammoth filmed in a Siberian river. Video was posted online this week of what appears to be a actual live woolly mammoth standing in a Siberian river, walking across it. It looked like possibly a regular elephant, and that in and of itself is weird because I don't think there are any elephants in Russia. So one way or the other, it's something bizarre. But again, wouldn't surprise me if woolly mammoths were still alive, particularly in the Siberian area, where it's cold mostly all the time, and that's how they use it to survive. That's where they go. It's also a desolate area with not a lot of people around, so possibly would not be able to see them. It doesn't. Plus, there have been fully frozen woolly mammoths with their skin intact discovered in these certain places. So it would not surprise me if that was indeed a real video of a woolly mammoth. Oldest ever python fossil was found in Europe. So they keep pushing the history books back and back, discovering more and more things, fun stuff like that. Finally, the paleontologists may have discovered the biggest dinosaur to ever walk the land. They found some bones of his this week as well. Much bigger than the other dinosaurs you heard. It could have very well be the biggest land animal to ever walk the earth. So, yay. Newly discovered comet is heading our way. Could be the brightest comet in decades, so it might be a whole lot easier to see. But again, they were calling that one comet that came through last year was going to be one of the brightest ones because it was bright as it was outside of the solar system. But once it got closer, outside of Earth's orbit, once it started getting closer to the Earth's orbit and got more into the warmth of the sun, it started disintegrating due to sun melting the snowball that the comets are. So we'll see if this stays intact. It's very possible that it will. As expected, more movies getting pushed back because, here we are in January. It doesn't look like that. A lot of movies were hoping to open up maybe in March was when the first big ones were going to start making appearances in movie theaters. They've decided, okay, it doesn't look like that we're going to be ready because due to the terrorists in the White Houses not having a vaccination plan in place. So President Biden has to create one from scratch. So that's wonderful. Plus, they did not have enough vaccinations for everybody. So again, it's going to be a while before everybody gets vaccinated and stuff like that. So it probably won't be till the summer where movie theaters will be able to safely open up and have more people there, even though there are some that are open now. But to have enough for big movies to make money and get back to the way things were before COVID is going to happen. But Quiet Place 2 has been moved to September 17th, 2021 from March. The Kingsman, again, this is like the third time it's moved. It's moved to August 20th, 2021. And I know I've got a couple of ones over here. Ghostbusters Afterlife has been moved from June 11th to November 11th, which surprised a little bit. I would have thought they would have tried to hold on to the summer stuff because I think they'll be able to have stuff in the summer, but they might be just making sure that everything is good in that. But in the case of Ghostbusters, we've got a couple other things popping up because the movie was supposed to come out last year, but now it's been pushed to November now this year. We're starting to see some of the Ghostbusters tie-ins that we were going to be getting from the movie, including Ghostbusters cereal and Ghostbusters Twinkies, which will be a new thing that you'll be able to get out in stores very soon. Probably, I would say they would probably push it back now to when the movie gets released so you can have promotion on that end. We also have our first appearance of Muncher, a fat, bulbous, blue, like bipedal, looks like bipedal ghost, trying for, I guess, their version of Slimer. But this creature looks a little bit more creepy looking. But his name is now Muncher. So we will see Muncher in action November 11th. Hopefully we'll see another trailer soon, but we'll see what happens. Because Ghostbusters Afterlife has been moved to November 11th, Peter Rabbit 2 has been moved to June 11th, whereas Sony's version of Cinderella has been moved to July 16th. Last Night in Soho, Edgar Wright's new film, has been pushed to October 22nd. For the fourth time, The new James Bond movie was supposed to come out in March of 2020. Then it was supposed to come out in November of 2020. Then it was supposed to come out in February of 20, I think, or April. No, April. I'm sorry, April of 2021 is now been moved to October 8th, 2021. This was going to be Morbius's spot, but Morbius also knows full well that they cannot compete with a James Bond movie, so they decided to move to 2022. I believe they're moving to a January date, 2022. So we'll see Morbius then. Uncharted, the film starring Tom Holland, based on the video game, was supposed to come out in I think fall of 2021, has now been pushed to February 11th, 2022. So we got all that. Those are all the new dates as of now. So there have been a few other ones that got moved as well, but they were movies that I had never heard of and I didn't think were big enough to maybe mention, but there have been other ones that have been moved as well. Christopher Nolan, who's been very vocal about the WB's plans to open their movies in movie theaters and on streaming on HBO Max, which has upset the filmmaker, and a couple other filmmakers, has declared that he will never work films again because of that. When you're Chris Nolan, you probably have the okay to do that, because any movie company would probably be killed to play, with you. Oh yeah, there's another death. I knew I was missing one. Former Green Bay general manager Ted Thompson died at the age of 68 this week as well. So I knew there was another one I was missing somewhere. Okay, so what else do we have? Elephants have been counted from space to help in conservation after they've been able to get a better view of elephants, particularly those who might be hiding in treetops or whatever. You might not be able to see from the ground level, but from the sky level, you could probably actually see them using 3D cameras and stuff like that. They've been able to count elephants to see how many they got and how many more you can serve, stuff like that. I talked about the taco blanket. How about a baby burrito blanket? We always call baby burritos, baby burritos. Well, now you can actually wrap your baby in a burrito looking blanket and call them an actual baby burrito. Just don't eat them. And the cheesecake, Anna, somehow we have some other cheesecake stuff. Cheesecake Oreo bites are a new thing now. It's a mix of cheesecake and Oreo pieces together in little balls. You just pop in your mouth. They sound delectable and be very yummy to look forward to in that. What else do we got here? Rare black seals have been discovered in the UK Nature Preserve. So we have some black seal pups, which are really, really neat looking. They're really cool looking. A super puff cotton candy planet has been discovered. It's not a real planet made out of cotton candy. It is a planet that is very not dense like a Jupiter or whatever. It's very light and has been discovered. It's about the size of Jupiter, orbits a giant star, has a low surface gravity. So NASA is really excited about this because they've never seen a planet that has had that low of a density and still be able to exist for the most part. So that's driving them absolutely bonkers. White chocolate cheesecake M&Ms for Valentine's Day are also coming out. Some cases I think they're out elsewhere because a friend of mine on Facebook, after I posted this article, wrote in the comments, don't eat these, they're absolutely horrendous. So I don't know, that might just be their opinion. I don't know if I'd even want to try them, but there's a review right there. Northampton firefighter screeched after an iguana jumped on his helmet. So these firemen are going to a house that was on fire, and they enter the house, and they were not expecting a pet iguana to still be in the house, and he jumped on the head of one of the firemen, who screamed his head off but was able to get the iguana out safely, and they were able to put down the fire as well. Thor 4 has started filming this week. I told you all the people who are going to be there. Chris Pratt showed up. Karen Gillan appeared. Dave Bautista is showing up in that as well. We also have Jane Alexander, I believe her name is, who played Sif. She's returning in the role. And Natalie Portman's going to be back. And of course, Hemsworth is going to be there. No word really. Hiddleston's going to be back as Loki, but that I think all depends upon the Loki series. I think I heard he is going to be back in that as well, so I might get him in there too. We also get Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie's going to be in it. But now we get some other news. Captain Marvel, Brie Larson, will be appearing in Thor 4 as well. I love myself some Brie Larson, despite the fact that everybody else hates her. They can go suck it as well. And Matt Damon has also been cast in Thor 4, not knowing if he will be portraying the role of Matt Damon as he did in Thor Ragnarok. So we'll see what happens. But he has been found in Australia to be being in that film as well. So should be an interesting one. Taika Waititi comes back to direct it. So should be very interesting. The newest hot show on Netflix, which I haven't watched yet because it's not up my alley, but it's full of sex, so maybe should be up my alley now. Bridgerton, the fancy English aristocratic sort of TV show that's taken the world by storm on Netflix, has now been picked up for a second season. So fans of Bridgerton, rejoice. You're going to see more hot, sexy action in the old days. The band Tool has never really been a band that I'd consider would be one that you'd like to dance to. They're kind of a heavy metal, dark metal sort of band. They've got some good music here and there, but apparently there's a toddler who absolutely loves Tool, that he dances to their music every time it comes on. So good for him. Sky Sharks is a movie I think I talked about before, but there's a little bit more information about it. It's one of those B movies that everybody loves to make fun of. Apparently it has zombies flying sharks. So that in itself just deserves to be mentioned in my show. Sour Patch Kids lollipops are a thing. It's a lollipop that will have a Sour Patch Kid sour dust put over it. So it'll be like sucking on a Sour Patch Kid. Sucking. Sigh. Anyway, IHOP Pan-Flakes is a new cereal made up of tiny syrupy pancake pieces. So that's for those people who absolutely love your pancakes and want to have miniature ones as well. Hey, Easter's coming, and guess what? You can now dress up your dog as the Easter Bunny. There is now Easter Bunny costumes available for your dogs to wear them and run around, ramping around the house and hate you for the rest of your life. Dunkin' will be testing bubble teas this summer. Their first one will be a strawberry bubble tea. So we will be seeing probably a huge media blitz on that come summertime. And they're going to see if it's going to be a new item that can take the world by storm and become huge as the pumpkin spice lattes. Secret Service clears comedian John Mulaney after he makes a joke about assassinating the president. They take that shit seriously, no matter even if it's obvious you're joking, they will still investigate you. So as they said, they've investigated John Mulaney and they've cleared him of wanting to kill the president. So we have comedian Jim Gaffigan has been cast as Mr. Smee in the live-action Peter Pan and Wendy film, which I guess is going to be coming to Disney Plus next year probably, because it hasn't filmed yet. CW has a new Superman TV show called Superman and Lois. The first trailer came out this week. I really am not interested in it that much, so I just want to let you know I haven't watched it yet. Same with the first teaser trailer for Godzilla vs. Kong. That has come out this week as well, so taking a look at that. Batman animated series may be getting a sequel coming to HBO Max. If they have the same team on it, I guess it would be okay, but you know, why mess with perfection, really? I mean, the Batman animated series is one of the absolute greatest animated series and television shows of all time. Why revisit it years later? Still playing Fortnite. And this week was a big one for Fortnite because this season is about hunters and bounty hunting and hunters and stuff like that. And more pop culture stuff has been popping through. We had Daryl Michelle. We had Master Chief from Metal Gear Solid has, Metal Gear Solid, but whatever he's from, has popped up as well as a skin in Fortnite as well. And they are saying more and more will be coming over the next few months because this season will not end until March. So you'll see probably a whole lot more. There's rumors that a Tomb Raider one, Lara Croft Tomb Raider one, will be making her way to the set. Kratos from God of War has also made an appearance as well. I bought him because I think he's cool looking. Haven't played him in a while, so maybe I should play him tomorrow possibly. But this week started bringing in more pop culture-y sort of characters when two big, or actually technically three if you add the third one, three big characters from pop culture made their Fortnite appearance. First up was the world's worst kept secret. A Predator skin is officially in the game. But much like the Wolverine one from last season, you will have to find where the Predator is. You will have to help kill or kill him right out to get the skin. And once you get the skin, then you have to finish the rest of the ways to get his unlock his secondary one, which is the emote that you can unmask him and he does the alien look and the scream. You can also get a back bling and some other stuff if you finish other things as well. My son and I cleared all that, I guess, on Tuesday, the day that it came out. We played till we cleared it and we got everything. So we had our Predators and all our back bling and we got everything we needed to do with that. Then the world's worst kept secrets. Again, these leaks are crazy that they keep happening. So it's either obvious or Fortnite has really bad security. And yesterday, the day before yesterday, Wednesday, I guess, 2,800 V-Bucks. You get the Sarah Connor character played by Linda Hamilton in two forms. And the T800, which is the robotic look. You don't get the Arnold looking one, which is a shame. I hope down the line maybe you can unlock a secondary one which looks like Arnold as the Predator, and then maybe, or as a Terminator, and then maybe a third one with him like tore up where you can see half metal and half human. I think that'd be kind of cool. Maybe they're going to do that down the line. But now we just have the straight up robot Terminator 800. So I bought that one today. I haven't played them yet, so I'll work on that. So Fortnite's going all crazy with these crossovers, and as I said, they've got more coming in the works. So we'll probably see more down the line. As I said, Lara Croft Tomb Raider is supposedly coming to the series as well. And who knows what else may be coming. As I said, they said they've got stuff coming all the way through till March, which is when the season will end and the new season will begin. Excuse me. An Oklahoma Republican state representative, Justin Humphrey, calls to establish a Bigfoot hunting season complete with licenses and fees. So he wants a Bigfoot hunting season to be declared. No dates have been given yet. And they say if you want to hunt Bigfoot, you need a license and fees. And that's money that they can take for the government, which is the whole reason why they're doing it probably. First of all, you should not be hunting Bigfoot because if he does exist, and I truly believe he does personally, it is an unknown species, probably endangered, and is a link to humans. And yet you want to hunt him like deer or birds, stuff like that. we know the main reason why you want to do it is for the fees you get from the licenses and stuff like that. And there are going to be idiots who are going to pay those licenses and fees to have the right to hunt Bigfoot, despite the fact that Bigfoot is really hard to find and no credible sightings have been done. Well, there have been credible sightings, but there are sightings all over the country, but there have been no proof of anything of Bigfoot out there. I still believe, as I said, and I think they live in caves. I think they bury their dead or they eat their dead. So that's why there's not a lot of remnants of them anywhere. So we'll find out. I just found that was kind of interesting. A scientist also has a theory about the Loch Ness Monster. He believes that the Loch Ness Monster is actually a giant sea turtle. Ancient species of sea turtle is his actual terminology that he uses. I find that a little harder to believe. Am I sticking to the plesiosaur thing? Yeah, maybe somewhat. But the eyewitness accounts of the Loch Ness Monster have not been that of a shelled creature. It's been of a snake-like creature. So more like an eel sort of type, I guess, if you want to go that way. So winter has finally hit Maryland. The polar vortex has finally arrived here in Maryland. We were at a balmy 32 degrees as a high today. But on top of that, we had massive winds, which dropped the temperature at least 10 degrees. So when you walked outside at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it felt like it was 23 degrees. It is now presently 21 degrees here in Reisterstown. It's going to be the lowest it's going to go, and then it's going to go back up around 3 o'clock. A high tomorrow of 37, partly sunny. And then things are going to get fucked up. Monday night into Tuesday, as of now, this is what they're saying. We're going to get a chance of light snow and mostly ice, which is going to be hazardous on Tuesday morning for beginning of work day, because there is a warm front that's still sitting over us, but it's also be cold enough for snow and ice and stuff to get through. Then we have a little break on Wednesday, and then Thursday we're supposed to get a massive snow event. This is what the weather people have been saying, what happens in that end. So to be continued, so we'll find out more about it. You'll probably know more about it next week when I do my show. The NFL final set. The games played tomorrow. There's just 2 games tomorrow. The winners of those games go on to the Super Bowl. The Baltimore Ravens are not one of those teams. They played a terrible game Saturday night. I think I might have mentioned it on my show because I did my show on Sunday. They have been removed from the playoff picture. The Buffalo Bills beat them and are going to play Kansas City for the AFC final. Meanwhile, Tom Brady outlasted Drew Brees and is going to his 14th conference championship, where he'll be playing Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. So it could be Chiefs Packers, Chiefs Bucks, Bills Packers, Bills Bucks. I personally would love to see Buffalo Bills versus the Green Bay Packers personally, but that's just me. We'll see what happens. Now, to add insult to injury, Pat Mahomes, the quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, and Lamar Jackson, quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens, both suffered concussions in their games. Both are okay now. Apparently, Patrick Mahomes will be a go for the game on Sunday. But they both suffered from concussions, which was kind of scary. So that's been set. So the Ravens' season is done. And I have no more to say about that. Cobra Kai Season 4 has started filming this week, so you'll be getting that sooner than later. I've been talking to you about hot cocoa bombs. Then there are tea bombs. Now get ready for broth bombs, bombs that are packed with seasoning that you can throw into your stews and your soups and stuff like that, and it will release the flavors in their bombs, as it were. A Thai fisherman finds a lump of whale vomit, which net him a cool $290,000 for whale vomit. I wish my vomit was worth $290,000. I'd vomit more often. Oreo's new cookies and cream bunny is going to be your new Easter treat of Easter bunny treat for Easter coming up in April. So that's going to be out there soon. GameStop says that they have gotten more PS5s and Xbox X Series back in. So if you've been looking for and waiting for it, jump on those in a second. Talking about the snow that is coming to this area, which is normal for this time of the year. How about an area that it's not normal in? The Saharan Desert got a snowstorm this week, and some interesting pictures of snow mixed with the sand drifts. Was kind of interesting to see that this week. But again, goes to show you what's going on with climate change, stuff like that. Costco is selling a massive fudge brownie that's about the size of your head for your Valentine's Day dessert pleasure, or just for regular dessert pleasure, party pleasure, whatever. But a massive fudge brownie the size of your head. I like this soda, and I'm kind of excited to see it coming back. Pepsi Blue appears to be making a comeback. It is a kind of a berry-flavored Pepsi, but actually was really good. I kind of liked it a lot. And I'm kind of excited to see it coming back. Though it's still not the one I want to see. I want to see the Pepsi with lemon coming back. That was spice Pepsi was pretty good too. That was just my opinion. A little history for you. A guy by the name of Gouverneur Morris, not governor, Gouverneur Morris, was a founding father. He was at the Constitutional Convention. He had a lot to do with getting the Constitution ratified and taken care of and written up and stuff like that. He was, well loved and well liked founding father. But in his 60s, he started suffering from urinary tract infections. Now, back in the 1700s, no one really knew what was going on. He just knew that there was something blocking his pee in his penis, and he decided to jam something up his penis to try to unblock it so that he could urinate because it was too painful. So it was the first catheter he ever did. However, he used a piece of whalebone, probably from his wife's whalebone corset, and jammed the piece of whalebone up his penis to try to burst whatever bubble was holding back his urine, not knowing about urinary tract infections. Instead, the sharp whalebones from a corset shredded the interiors of his penis, causing him to get infections and to die because he jammed a piece of whalebone corset up his penis to free his urine. And that's your history moment for today. Last week was the molasses one, so I'm going to try to do one of these every week if it's a really interesting one coming up. I don't know who this actress is, but she warranted her own story. But Ginger Gonzaga, which is a great name, by the way, joins the cast of She-Hulk, an undisclosed role right now, so that's pretty cool. Fruit Loops joins the cereal beverage craze. We've had Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal beverages and drinks and other stuff like that. Well, now we have a Fruity Pebble one and so on and so forth. Now we have a Fruit Loops cereal beverage drink. Must be a drink that tastes like Fruit Loops, much like the Cinnamon Toast Crunch one tastes like Cinnamon Toast Crunch and so on and so forth like that. I talked to you about that the Cocoa Krispy Creamer and the Fruity Pebble Creamers are now out in stores. I've seen them at my store. Haven't picked up the Fruity Pebble one yet, even though I'm dying to try it. And my wife is like, that's going to be disgusting in coffee. But I did pick up the Cocoa Krispy one and use it at my work for my creamer at work. And I had my first taste of it on Friday, and it passed the test. It literally tastes exactly like Cocoa Krispies, which is a good thing because I like that sort of flavor. So basically everything they did was Cocoa Krispies are basically made up of chemicals. They probably just took the chemicals that they make for Cocoa Krispies and just add it to the creamer to get the flavor that they wanted. But it is very good, and I highly recommend it if you like the Cocoa Crispy or stuff like that. I do have a half a page after this. I did have something else about there. About Fruity Pebble stuff. Now I've been talking about why all of a sudden Fruity Pebbles is getting such love. They're getting cereals the cereal drinks and creamers and ice creams and stuff like that. And now there is an epic Fruity Pebble cake mix. And the reason why, and this is what I figured out why all this is happening, is because it is the 50th anniversary of the creation of the cereal this year. So that's why we have all this Fruity Pebbles stuff out and about, because it is an anniversary. I thought it's the flavor, it's the new hit thing as well. No, it is in fact the 50th anniversary of Fruity Pebbles, so that's why it has caused people to look at that. So that's pretty good. DNA from an unknown ancestor has been found in modern humans, so nobody knows how we got that DNA. So that's to be continued. Talked about football earlier, about the playoffs or the finals are set with Tom Brady beating Drew Brees. Drew Brees has announced that he will be retiring from the NFL. He was New Orleans Saints quarterback for the longest time, and was a hero, won a Super Bowl, was a beloved person in the city of New Orleans, and he will be missed. He's a great player, as says Philip Rivers. Philip Rivers has also said that he'll be retiring this year as well. Another really good quarterback, and the two of them will be forever connected due to when they first came out in the draft. There was some trading stuff going on, and one was traded for the other, that sort of thing. So the fact that they both retired within the same day should be interesting, and in 5 years it should make for an interesting Hall of Fame discussion. I believe both quarterbacks belong in the Hall of Fame. Will they get there? I think if only one makes it, it'll be Drew Brees, because he holds more records than Philip Rivers does. He also has a Super Bowl win, whereas Philip Rivers has, I don't think, even appeared in a Super Bowl. So we'll see what happens with that. Build-A-Bear has the entire Winnie the Pooh collection now available. So all the Winnie the Pooh characters that you know and love, Eeyore and the Bouncy Cat and Tigger. I'm sorry, it took me a while to figure that. Pooh and Piglet and all them guys. You can now get Build-A-Bears of all of them now. As I said, it was Squirrel Appreciation Week this week. How about a picture of a knife-wielding squirrel? A picture of a knife-wielding squirrel was taken in somebody's backyard this week, with the squirrel holding an actual knife in his hand. Not knowing where he got it or how he decided to hold on to it, but he was holding it like you hold a knife. Wasn't holding it wrong or anything like that. On his way out the door, that terrorist in the White House decided he was going to pardon a bunch of people. The insurrectionist terrorists who attacked the Capitol and who've all been arrested thought that because they were doing it in his name, that he would pardon them. He didn't. He didn't give a rat's ass about them. He disavowed their existence. And the Tiger King, which again was one of these things from 2020 that I never saw what the big deal was, but it was a huge thing in the early part of during the COVID stuff. Never saw any of the Tiger King stuff, but he was hoping to get a pardon as well. Didn't get one either. So, wah wah. Fictional character's birthday was this week. As you all know, I have a Geller, and her iconic character is Buffy Summers. Well, the character of Buffy Summers actually turned 40 this week. So not Sarah Michelle Gellar, but Buffy Summers turned 40 this week. So happy birthday to you, Buffy. I'll save that one for later on. A Willy Wonka prequel is in the works. Only thing I say is why. Why do you want to do a Willy Wonka one? But whatever. But yeah, there's a Willy Wonka movie prequel in the works. Boys season 3 is doing the graphic Hero-gasm episode. Hero-gasm was a part of the Boys comic book series about a full-on orgy by all the superheroes. They have figured out a way to do it in the live-action TV show that is currently on Amazon for their 3rd season. Supposedly it's like episode 9, so it'll be near the tail end of the season, but they will be doing a Hero-gasm episode. So should be interesting to see how they actually go about doing that. Miguel Ferrer, one of my favorite character actors of all time, passed away 3 or 4 years ago. I think it was 4 ago this year, this week. Loved him, was in Twin Peaks and RoboCop and a number of other shows and films and stuff like that, but absolutely loved him. One of my favorite character actors. Thomas will be the first woman to officiate a Super Bowl. There's been all kinds of first women in sports over the last year or so, and this is just the next level up. So hopefully more women will be able to officiate at football games and at the big game as well. So the first one will be going this week, or for the Super Bowl this year. All 5 seasons of original Muppet TV show with Jim Henson and Frank Oz and all that will now be available in Disney Plus sometime in February. So you'll be able to see all 5 seasons of the Muppet Show, which is great because I missed the old versions of the show. Jimmy Dean Casserole Bites. You can get yourself special casserole bites for your breakfast there. But I heard an interesting story. My mom actually knows the real Jimmy Dean. He was a musician back in the 50s and 60s, when my mom was growing up outside of Washington, D.C., and he lived there too. And he and his band would play at this one store that they would shop. And my mom and my aunt got to know the people in the family and got to know Jimmy Dean himself. And then he went on and they had a couple of hits in the in music. And then they decided that Jimmy Dean decided he was going to slide into the Sausage group, and so he did that. But my mom does know Jimmy Dean of Jimmy Dean Sausage. He's also a former musician, so it's kind of neat. NASA is demolishing the Apollo and Space Shuttle launch platforms. They need more room for their buildings and stuff like that, and so since they're not doing any missions and they don't do the space shuttle anymore, it's time to destroy that. So history is going away. Massive asteroid Apophis might threaten the Earth in 2068, a good 40-some years away, 47 years to be exact. But they just want you to be aware that there is potential an actual asteroid could very well threaten the Earth in 2068. Let's see, that's 47 years. I would be around 95. I doubt I might even still be alive, but we'll see. My kids will be, though. I mean, my daughter should be about 41 years old, and my son will be about 30-something. So that'll be cool. As long as it doesn't hit the Earth, obviously. So that's interesting. Man hid from coronavirus and authorities in Chicago airport for 3 months. So no one where he was. The authorities were looking for him, and he kept his distance away from coronavirus people with coronavirus, stuff like that. So he stayed hidden for a while, but I guess got busted. Liam Neeson is in talks to take over the Naked Gun franchise. And honestly, I couldn't think of a better person to do it because if you remember, Leslie Nielsen, before he went to Airplane, was actually a very good dramatic actor. did westerns, police shows, and stuff like that. And then in Airplane, that was the whole point of Airplane. Airplane, they got a bunch of dramatic actors who've never really done comedy before to just totally go absolutely wild and crazy in one of the most stellar and amazing comedies of all time. And that led to Leslie Nielsen becoming having a second career as a comedian. He after Airplane, he did the Naked Gun TV. He did the Naked Gun TV show. Actually, it was called at that time Police Squad. TV show, did 6 episodes of that, and then jumped around, did some time at the Golden Girls and some other TV shows, and then they decided to make a movie based on Police Squad called The Naked Gun, and they ended up making 3 of those movies. And then he also worked with Mel Brooks in Dracula Dead and Loving It, and did some other stuff as well. Did some dramatic things still, but he reverted to a comedy role till he passed away. But now Liam Neeson is set to take over the role of Frank Drebin, and I think he would be absolutely perfect. He's got the deadpan voice to sort of do stuff, and to see him do his role in the Lego movie was fantastic also. And I think the whole point is to have these deadpan serious actors be in these goofy, outrageous comedies. I think Liam Neeson would be absolutely perfect in that role. So I hope it gets made, and huzzah, and I can't wait to see what he decides to do with that. Of course, I don't know if I'd call it The Naked Gun, because that was just the basis for the Police Squad stuff. You could call it Police Squad, or you could come up with a different name and still be Frank Drebin and still have all that same stuff. But we'll see what happens. Speaking of dinosaurs, scientists also believe, I should say one scientist believes that there may also be dinosaur skeletons on the moon and on Mars. Now, how the hell did this happen? Well, let me tell you. This scientist wrote a book, and he determined that the asteroid that hit the Earth that caused extinction of the dinosaurs was the size of Mount Everest. And it was going at a really fast-paced speed when it hit the Earth. So basically think about what would happen if Mount Everest was soaring through the air and slammed into the Earth. It would shatter the Earth to its core, creating dust, which everyone believes is what caused the killing of the dinosaurs. The dust would fly up into the atmosphere, and it blocked the sun for so much that turned into a new ice age. But think about this. If it hit hard enough, it would also break up massive amounts of rock, and the force of the explosion would lift the rock up into outer space. Now, they believe that it also tore a hole in the atmosphere so that it would get sucked out. So rocks like that, which exploded from the Earth, got enough speed that it was sucked out into outer space and then spread into different locations, including towards the moon and towards the sun and towards Mars over here. So what the scientist believes is that when these giant rocks broke up and exploded upwards, he believes that there were dinosaurs that were actually on these rocks. And as they shot up into the air, they obviously would have died from the shock of the temperature change or the heat or the lack of oxygen or whatever. And then once they got into outer space, their dead, lifeless bodies would be on these rocks, and they would drift over to where the moon is, where they would crash as asteroids onto the moon. The dead body of the dinosaur crashes down there and stays on there. Now, the thing is, though, you'd have to think, though, if you're in a vacuum of space, wouldn't you consider that probably there wouldn't be bones of the dinosaur, but it would perfectly preserved body of the dinosaur would be on the moon? Now, we haven't explored the moon entirely, and we haven't really, I guess, that we know of, focused our satellites or telescopes on the moon's surface or whatever, on the moon's surface, or orbiters on the moon's surface to determine to see if there are dinosaurs, in fact, somewhere on the moon. There's lots of stuff we know what the moon looks like for the most part, but there's lots of parts that we really don't know what could be down there. And maybe it's covered, maybe the dinosaurs are covered in a layer of moon dust, and that's why we don't see it. Now, they also believe that the rocks would also be soaring towards Mars. and would eventually have exploded and crash landed on Mars as well, meaning there could be dinosaur carcasses slash bones on the planet Mars as well. So it's an interesting theory. Don't know how true it is, but hey, anything's possible. Pokemon's in the news, but for their card game. A Blastoise Pokemon card has become the most expensive ever at auction, sold for $360,000. And a I know there's another one around. There it is, a rare Pokemon card box that has multiple cards in it, sold at auction for $400,000. So Pokemon is still fairly popular and make you a lot of money. So there you go. Spider-Man 3, the Tom Holland one that's filming now, appears to be a Christmas movie because there have been scenes taken with holiday decorations and snow and stuff like that. So it looks like it takes place during the holidays. Ancient zombie life has been found living 5 kilometers beneath the Earth's surface, not meaning it's like zombies like you expect, but like life that dies and is reborn or stuff like that. And scientists want to study it, but being 5 kilometers below the Earth's surface makes it a little hard to find them and investigate them. To be continued. GM, General Motors, surprises people at a car convention with a Cadillac XVTOL, a air taxi flying car type of thing. VTOL means vertical takeoff and landing. It's not the size of a car, it's not a flying car, but it is a flying item that a car company built with a Cadillac name that looks like it's a small, maybe one person can fit in there, that actually can fly. So we are starting to maybe get into the age of flying cars now. So at this car convention, we have the first ever air taxi flying car produced and looked at. Cherry bomb mimosas are a new drink you can do for your winter and spring coming up. There it is. I talked about the Buffalo Bills beating the Ravens. Well, Bills Mafia, their fan base, has always been one of the nicest ones in the world. Jerry Coleman, one of the grumpiest men in Baltimore sports news, was making fun of Buffalo a year or so ago, a couple of years, as long as it was before COVID, about 2 years ago, and was getting to a war with the fans, and they were calling him out on stuff, and he's kind of a grumpy kind of asshole type of thing. But then something happened to his mother, grandmother, or himself, or whatever, and he needed money, so he did like a GoFundMe page, stuff like that. The Buffalo Bills, or the Buffalo fans, who he was ragging on the whole time, they dropped a ton of money onto his charity and his stuff to help him get through, because they knew he needed actual help. And Coleman apologized and said they were great people, but he would still be ragging on them, and they said that we wouldn't have it any other way. Well, same thing happened this week after Lamar Jackson had his concussion to end pretty much the game, and we were going to lose that game at that time. The Buffalo Bills fans decided that because he had his concussion and they hope he's okay, they dropped $40,000 onto his charity as well. So kind of a cool thing. The Buffalo fans have always had a lot of class. And the town of Buffalo, I've heard, has always been one of the better ones in the NFL. The Ravens and Bills have a mutual respect for each other, unlike the Ravens and Titans. We talked about that last week. So that's kind of a neat little thing about that. So that's good. Demon Slayer, the movie, is not on Netflix. I thought that's what it was going to be, but the Demon Slayer TV show, which spun off this movie, which became the most popular animated film in Japanese history, is now available on Netflix. So if you want to get in on the ground floor about Demon Slayer, you can go watching Death Note on Netflix. And I saw the selection for Demon Slayer, Volume 1 or Season 1. Earmuff headphones, we've seen these before, but there are new ones out there. It's earmuffs that you can wear outside that are actually also headphones, so you can go for walks, out in the cold to protect your ears, but also listen to music as well. NASA Oh, discovers a dark, straight, really, really, really black, dark hole in the Mars surface. And it's a pit almost, and they are intrigued about what might be down the rabbit hole, as it were. So we'll be out for that, and we'll discover more about that later on. But it's a weird ass anomaly on the surface of Mars, and it's not fake or whatever. It's an actual thing, and this wasn't on one of those like conspiracy theory website things. It's actual from like space and science, stuff like that. NASA's Voyager 2 gets its first command since March and responds with a hello. So people are still in the second interstellar object that we have. So that's good on that. Magic rabbit species has been seen again for the first time in 20 years. It's called the lily pika rabbit in China, and it has been photographed and seen for the first time in 20 years. So it's good to see animals again making comebacks like that. An underwater volcano, looks like that. An underwater volcano creates a new island, and satellites have been watching the entire process. It's been kind of cool. You get to see various pictures of the islands being formed by the volcano, something that they've never really seen before, though they know it happens. And finally, we're going to finish with 3 pickle stuff. I'm not a big pickle fan, despite my nickname being Dill Pickle. Pickle subs, where you can have, instead of a sub roll, you can cut a giant pickle in half and stuff it with your usual sub toppings, turkey, ham, cheese, bacon, whatever. But the pickle will be your bread and not actual submarine bread. Pickle seltzer, for people who like seltzer water. You can get a pickle flavored one now. And finally, if you like salsa, there's all kinds of salsa. There's peach and what's the other one? That's out there. There's all kinds of different salsas out there. Well, how about a pickle salsa now? You can get that as well. That, my friends, is the last one in this episode of Dylan Knows. Thank you for those who are watching. Thank you for letting me have a chance to vent. I am hopefully going to do better as more of the dark emotions are starting to come out of my body due to the new Biden administration. Hopefully things will get better in the world. Hopefully I'll be able to get the stress and stuff out of my system so that it's not slowly killing me. Until then, have a great week. By this time next week, we do the show next week. It should be next Saturday again. We should know who will be playing in the Super Bowl. We'll be seeing another week's worth of Joe Biden's presidential stuff. We'll be seeing maybe more Bernie memes. And we'll be seeing more news and information and crazy stuff. And hopefully not any deaths, but we know that's probably not going to happen. But, new products, and we'll see what else we can see. So be good. Probably do another review of WandaVision. WandaVision season episode 4 will be out next week also. So probably do a review of that too. So my second straight, almost 2-hour one is coming to an end right now. Thank you for letting me vent a little bit at the beginning of the show. I know it took about half an hour of the time, but I just needed to get that off my chest. And thank you for listening. Be safe, stay warm, because it's going to be a messy week here in the Mid-Atlantic. And be safe, and hopefully the stress will start leaving my body, and things that are irritating me hopefully will get better. I doubt that's going to get any better, but we'll see what happens. But we're almost to the end of January. I mean, this is the 23rd of January, or 22nd. It's 23rd, isn't it? It's the 23rd. Yep. It's January 23rd. So 7 days from now, next Saturday is the 30th of January. And then the next week after that is February 6th. So we're going to be into February within 2 weeks. Actually, 23rd will be within February in 9 days. So, 8 days, excuse me. No, 9 days. All right, thanks for listening. Bye, everyone.